Hi, I'm Jack, and welcome back because I am going to give you guys a spoiler-free review of No Time to Die. It is Daniel Craig's last movie as the iconic super spy, and it stars Daniel Craig, Lashana Lynch, Rami Malek, Léa Seydoux, Ana de Armas, and many more, and it is directed by Cary, Joji, Fukunaga, if I pronounce that correctly. And with that said, before I get started, don't forget to follow me on social media. My username is at the bottom of the screen, and it is in the description below. So don't forget to do that while you're at it. And with that said, let's get started. No Time to Die follows James Bond years after the events of Spectre, and he has retired, but CIA agent Felix Leiter has brought him back into the fold when a scientist has been abducted, and Bond realizes that this trail to find a missing scientist leads him on a trail of a villain who has dangerous technology that is used and is planning to destroy the world, and Bond must stop it from happening. So before I start talking about the movie, I just want to say I have been waiting for No Time to Die for years, ever since I started the movies 4 years ago. And I have been waiting for No Time to Die ever since I watched all of his movies, and I was really looking forward to it, and then COVID happened. So the fact that I finally saw this movie, especially after all those delays, it feels so satisfying to finally see this movie on the big screen after all of these years of waiting. But does it live up to the hype? The answer is yes, it does. I loved it from start to finish. It is easily a very fitting send-off to Daniel Craig's run as the character. I was very satisfied. It had all the things that works about a James Bond movie, especially a Craig movie, and it's just so great. And I will get into that now. To kick off the positives, I thought the acting was terrific from the whole cast. Daniel Craig easily delivers his best performance as James Bond to date. He is my personal favorite Bond, and I love his movies, especially at least 3 out of 4 of them. It's just minus Quantum of Solace. And I really liked his action. He's easily the best Bond when it comes to fighting, and he delivers that on screen. He's like a brutal fighter. He fits that. He has the charisma. He has the charm, and he's such a great fighter. He has all of the right aspects of Bond nailed to the teeth, and he does it once again in this movie. And his supporting cast is just as great as Daniel Craig himself. In particular, I really liked Ana de Armas as Paloma, which is a shame because I really loved her, and we only got to see her for like a few minutes. And I loved her. Like, whenever she was on screen, she was funny. She had great dynamic and banter with Bond himself. And she was so cool. Such a great fighter. And I legit would want to see them make a Paloma spinoff for her character. Next up, I thought Madeleine Swann, played by Léa Seydoux, if I pronounced her name correctly. I really liked her in this movie, especially as she has a huge focus in this movie, that she is very important to the story that they're trying to tell with No Time to Die. I loved her dynamic with Bond, especially as you see what happens to them in between the end of Spectre to where No Time to Die starts, and especially throughout the movie. And I really liked what they did there, and especially her dynamic she has with the villain, played by Rami Malek, Safin. And Rami Malek was good with what he had to work with, and I will get more to that later. And so I really like Madeleine Swann in this movie. Léa was great. I loved her dynamic with Daniel Craig. It's terrific. One of my favorite Bond girls from the Craig era besides Vesper Lynd, played by Eva Green. Next up, I really liked Lashana Lynch as Naomie, the new 007. I really liked her in Captain Marvel, so I was really excited to see her play this new 007 for this movie, and I really enjoyed her. She has great banter and dynamic with Bond himself, and I love their back and forth. They have like a back and forth banter with like, oh, who's the better 007, you and I, and I really enjoyed that. It's very fun to watch, and there's some good humor moments that came from her character that I thought it worked perfectly. And she's also awesome as well as a fighter. She's cool. And then Ben Whishaw as Q. I really liked him as Q this time, and of course, we love Q, the gadgets and the computers and all that. I really liked him once again in this movie. Ray Fiennes was good as M, even though he's not as prominent in this movie as he was in Spectre, per se, but he was good. He was good with what he had to work with. And I also liked Naomie Harris as Moneypenny is in this movie. Again, it was just like Q. She's there from time to time, and she does help push this story forward, and I really like her. So yeah, the whole cast was terrific in this movie. And a great job to Jeffrey Wright as Felix Leiter. We haven't seen him since Quantum of Solace, and I loved him in this movie. And Christoph Waltz returns in this movie as Blofeld. I won't say exactly what happens to him, but what they did was interesting. Next up, I want to say I love the cinematography work. This is done by the cinematographer of La La Land and First Man. And I love the cinematography for Skyfall by Roger Deakins and Spectre by Hoyte van Hoytema. And I really liked the shots in No Time to Die. They're beautiful, they're gorgeous, they're so well done, and they just get the action and the settings very well. And so that is another great aspect of this movie. It's easily one of the best looking Bond movies ever made. And I thought special effects and visual effects wise, it's also terrific. Next up is Billie Eilish's opening song. I've listened to the song last year, so I knew what it sounded like, but I was always curious to see what is the intro going to be. And luckily, the intro was amazing. I love the song, love the intro. It's animated very well, and it easily fits what this movie's about, and it gives you an idea of what kind of movie you are about to witness. And I really dug that a lot. And not just that too, but the score by Hans Zimmer is really good as well. Especially because his next score is Dune this month. And I thought I really liked his scores in this movie, especially a score from the very end, which I will not spoil. But I really like the score. It fits really well with this movie. And I love all those classic Bond like things I'm hearing out of it. So that is also a bonus as well. The next thing I love is the story. They did a great job at telling this story where Bond is out of retirement because of this one mission. You see, after all these movies, he just wants to rest. He's been getting that for years, and then he had to come back into the game. And you're seeing Bond trying to navigate. He tries to get back into the game because he has been away from it for years. And so I love that, seeing Bond try to work with all these side characters to take down the one common enemy. And it's really great. Loved it a lot, and it's very well executed. And so it's easily a much better story execution than Spectre, which I do like. But I think the story ideas and the execution were a lot stronger here in this movie. Next up, I thought the opening sequence is absolutely mind-blowing. I loved how they kicked off the movie at one place, which I won't spoil, but I loved how they kicked off this movie because it gives you an idea of this sets the mood and sets the tone for everything that follows. And I really dug that. And especially then once you get past that opening scene, you have a chase sequence from Bond himself. And I loved it. It is so well done. It's well shot. The action is thrilling. And you just automatically get thrust back into the classic world of James Bond himself. And so love the opening from the beginning of this movie all the way up to the start of that opening intro by Billie Eilish, and I really dug that. Next up, I gotta mention are the action sequences. The Craig movies easily had the best action sequences out of every Bond series, and I love the action in Casino Royale, Skyfall, and even in Spectre. And so with No Time to Die, I was really looking forward to it, and they were amazing. I love the opening chase sequence in the beginning. It's so well shot. You can see what's happening, and you can feel the tension. You feel like you're back into that James Bond world, and it feels like you're there as it's happening. And other action sequences, which I will not spoil, but I will give you a little ideas for. There is an action sequence where it's a one-shot, and Bond, he's going up a staircase, and villains are coming at him left and right. And I loved it. It's so thrilling. It's so well shot. You legit fear for his life, and you are hoping that he makes it out of there alive. And I thought it was phenomenal. Just the action sequences are so well done in this movie, and every actor does a great job with their choreography, whether it's Daniel Craig himself, Lashana Lynch, Ana de Armas, or even any of the villains or people who work for the villains. I love the action. They are so great in this movie and continue to prove why Daniel Craig's era has the best action out of every Bond franchise to date. Next up, I thought the ending is extremely satisfying to me. I always felt like with the Craig series that with a story like this, there are two ways they can do this. And I thought, and whichever way they went with would have been satisfying. But I loved how they executed it. It fits the story. It fits the tone. It fits his character arc. And I loved how it handled. It literally left me in tears. Like I was sitting there sad at how it was ending because of how beautiful it was. It was such a phenomenal send-off to Daniel Craig's run as the character, and I absolutely teared up every second of it. It was done so well. He has easily the best final movie out of every Bond actor, because I love Sean Connery's Bond, but Diamonds Are Forever wasn't great. Roger Moore I do like. View to Kill, I heard, wasn't that great either. And then Pierce Brosnan, which I heard Die Another Day wasn't that great. So seeing that Daniel Craig breaks that curse with No Time to Die is so great. And I loved how they ended everything. It ends the story on the right note, and it's just so well done. I loved how they send off the character, and I loved everything that had to do with the ending, especially the score, because that final score in this movie is so heartbreaking and it is so masterful. It caps off this movie on such a high note that sets the whole idea that No Time to Die ended everything on a very high note. From there are about 2 issues I have with this movie, not anything major. The first issue I have is Rami Malek's Safin. I wanted to see a bit more of him because he didn't quite have as much screen time as I hoped he would. And even when we saw him, he was good. He didn't come off as compelling as, say, Mads Mikkelsen's Le Chiffre or Javier Bardem's Silva from Skyfall. And so Rami Malek was a good villain as Safin, but he didn't quite compel me in the screen as much as every other character on this movie. And the second thing in this movie that I think could have been better is the pacing. Because there are times, especially in the middle, where they're at one place and they're kind of there for a long period of time. And so you're kind of wondering, when are we going to pick up again? And so when you wonder that, it goes back in the high gear with the story. And I think the pacing could have been a little bit better. It's a much better paced movie than Spectre, but not quite his best paced movie as Casino Royale or Skyfall. So I think No Time to Die could have easily had a better pacing to make this movie go a little bit higher up that letter grade. Oh, and don't forget, please watch his 4 Bond movies before this one. Otherwise, you are going to be lost because, for the most part, it does reference Spectre and Casino Royale, so please watch them all before this movie. Overall, in the end, I absolutely loved No Time to Die. I found it satisfying on all the right ways, and it sends off Daniel Craig on such a great way. He easily delivers his best performance of the movie with amazing side characters, great directing from Cary, Joji, Fukunaga, and amazing action sequences and a terrific score and beautiful cinematography work. No Time to Die is a phenomenal conclusion to Daniel Craig's run as the iconic James Bond, and it ends everything on such a high note that I easily have to give this movie an A. And it is a must-see in theaters, especially if you are a fellow 007 fan. Easily one of the best movies of the year, and I definitely think you guys should go see this, especially on a big screen. If you can see this in IMAX or Dolby, do it there because the experience is going to be mesmerizing. So, those are my spoiler-free thoughts on No Time to Die. And I hope you guys will go see it in theaters. But what did you think about No Time to Die? Let me know down below in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Or better yet, what is your ranking of all 5 Craig movies from best to worst? I would love to see that down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe button. And stay tuned for more.
There will be nothing left to save.